control. When he wanted to have a child, I'd foolishly hoped a baby would change him, soften him somehow, make him more loving. After all, I was giving him what he wanted. But a happily ever after wasn't in the cards. My changing figure and fatigue only set him off. I'd almost lost the baby twice, and now I was in a constant state of terror, worrying he'd turn his anger on our 4-year-old son Dylan. There wasn't a day I didn't try to refocus Derek's anger on me rather than my little boy. Most of the time it worked, but not always. The times when Derek wanted to take Dylan out alone made me insane with worry. I wasn't much interference, but at least if I was around, I managed to redirect Derek's anger to me. Well, most of the time. Dylan was expected to have all his toys in an exact place when he was done playing with them. His clothes had to be perfectly pressed and clean, his hair was to be combed a certain way, and he wasn't to cry, fuss, or speak in a disrespectful way. Ever. He wasn't allowed to run about the house or have any friends over. He wasn't permitted to be a child, which was my greatest sadness. My heart broke just thinking about it. I learned to live with the swollen lips and hiding my bruises with long sleeves, slacks, and sunglasses. But in the last couple of years, Dylan was becoming a target. I couldn't stand when Derek turned his fury on our son. It was the last straw. And no matter what he did to me, or what we had to sacrifice or go without, I had to protect my little boy. I sucked in a ragged breath, noting how much my hands were shaking as I clumsily flipped the lid to shut the case and fumbled trying to zip it closed. My finger slipped off of the zipper halfway through and I had to try again, telling myself I had to hold it together or we'd be found out. I pulled the suitcase off of the bed and lugged it out of the house to my car, careful to stop and look up and down the street for any sign of vehicles or people. It was dark and cold. I started to shiver because I hadn't taken the time to put on shoes or a coat. I had limited time, and I couldn't take the risk. I had to get out and in, tidy up and leave everything seemingly untouched and unmoved, nothing to tip him off. Every second counted. I planned to leave in the morning right after Derek went to work. He had a business trip to Toronto, and I hoped it would be enough time to make it to my mom's house in Tallahassee. I wasn't sure what I was going to do after that, because I knew it was the first place Derek would look. I decided to call Dylan in sick to preschool in the hope of getting a few hours head start. But whether I let the school know or not, the administrator would notify Derek that Dylan wasn't there. Oh God, how was I ever going to get through this? I left the bag by the trunk, opened the car door, and quickly pushed the trunk release. Rushing around, I struggled to lift the large case inside. It was overly burdensome because I loaded some of Dylan's toys and some of his framed baby pictures in the bottom of it. I couldn't bear to leave without them, but it was a risk that Derek might notice they were missing. I slammed the trunk closed and, trembling, made my way back into the house and into the bedroom to begin quickly picking up the clothes strewn about the room. I carefully placed them all back in their respective drawers, careful to fold everything just so, but it was difficult to do in a rush. Adrenaline was pouring into my veins, but it only made things worse. I was freaking out, scared to death. The shaking of my hands wouldn't stop. He would notice even the smallest thing awry, and I'd pay a painful price. I tried to calm myself, quell the tremors and heavy breathing as I went about the task. It felt like each minute was only a second as they sped past, yet at the same time, everything moved in slow motion as terror seeped through me. I couldn't move fast enough. I had to clean myself up and get control of my emotions before he got home, or he'd know something was up. Later, I'd have to lay beneath him as he took me against my will. I'd have to pretend I was enjoying it, and if I didn't want him to turn violent, I had to convince him that he was the best lover to ever touch a woman. It made me sick. It was no better than prostituting myself, but what else could I do? I wouldn't be able to get away if I was injured, but I vowed this would be the last time he'd ever touch me. For months, I'd been closeting away $1 here or there, but it wasn't easy because I was required to account for every dime. Control was like bars.